So this is my review for the Suits season 1 episode 2, and I will say a pretty good episode of Suits. Like, I liked it. It of course it has its like usual Suits jokes, like their background music, like some things you're like, yeah, why is it there? But overall as an episode, I liked it better than the first one. Like, this was straight to business, like not much theatrics around it, not much, bad emotional acting like we saw in the first episode. Like, this is the episode where we can essentially say it was more about, Erica and Rick going head to head, and also about how it it dived into about how Ted is as a person, about how the tactics that he used to employ as when he was a federal prosecutor. And it really like shows that how he has changed, or gone back to his words as he was before. It really went into that. It is kind of exploring into things about his and Samantha's relationship a little bit. You're getting much more character development, much, we're getting to get into the nitty gritty of like the side characters. Like, we're getting into the nitty gritty of Amanda a little bit. We got into the nitty gritty of Leia a little bit. Even like if there is a connection between Rick and Erica beyond work as well. This episode was mainly about that. Stuart was there, but not for that much. I would say like this episode was I liked this. Like this episode started with Ted wanting Erica, as she's the head of the entertainment, to ensure that Dylan Pryor stays with them because they need that, because he's looking after the Lester case, and he instructs her to look after that. Erica tries to be funny with him and all, but he's really not in the mood. I would like, this is like the the Lester case was assigned to someone like Hanraman or someone, I don't know his name. uh, the case usually goes to that person when things are not going right, when they just want to get away. But it went to someone else whose name I can't remember that much. So that's some girl called Smith, and she was like, she gave him a plea deal of 10 years because she thinks that she murdered him. Throughout the episode, we kind of see that Ted is kind of running away from the fact that Lester may be guilty, and we're seeing why that happens. That we're seeing that he also mentions that one time his instincts were wrong and it costs him. So that this probably relates to his New York case, which we'll probably get to know as the show moves on. I think this show is designed to be a multi-season show because it can't end in one season. So I think they're really trusting that maybe people from the nostalgia of Suits season 1, and also they trust their writing that people will tune in to this Suits LA. Let's see how it happens, because the thing is, there are some relationships that are brewing now that you can get behind a little bit. Like, we are seeing at the end of the episode, like a mentor mentee relationship is we are seeing forming between Erica and Ted. We are seeing that maybe Erica and Rick were kind of like maybe they had a fling before also. And we are already seeing how like Samantha has her own firm, but she agreed to cut off Ted, and Ted and Samantha have a past where we actually go into how Ted was as a federal prosecutor. That the first thing is very unrealistic, that he was in a blast and he comes to like Samantha's client thing, which we saw in season in the episode 1. And Samantha was like, oh, you were in an explosion, but I'm really glad you're hurt. That never happens in real life. It's not that he got into like a minor car accident, that he just got scraped and he's there. He was in a fucking explosion. He nearly died. And you saw he was there. And you could see he got distracted because the stand-up comedian who is one of the clients of Samantha actually started going into him. Like he was playing three characters, Denzel, and I don't know who the other two were, and he just started spacing out and all. Samantha also, when they came back home, Samantha was like, you've been, I know that you have been sad since this has happened, and he said that, I'll make you feel good and everything, but then he has to go because Jimmy, I don't remember if was his the name Jimmy or maybe Jimmy is the killer's name, but the guy who died, like they got to let the media know that they died. Randall, who in the present time is investigating as a private investigator into Lester's things, at that time was working for the police. Like he wanted to, let the guards out, but he said not right now because they need to look into certain things. And we really get to know that how Ted, like he is willing to use people, which Samantha brings up because they actually go and catch the boss who is Pellegrini, and they catch one of his guys who did the blast. So when they catch him, so they have to convince that the guy who got blasted is still alive. So he actually uses her client because he can do different voices to to ensure to make him believe that he's still alive. So we get to know that he's willing to do, like he's willing to break laws to make sure that the bad guy is behind the bars. And that's why that guy got scared. He sent the mob lawyer out and he agreed to go into the federal protection program. The thing is, we probably get the fact that maybe what he was thinking is wrong because everything apparently goes to shit. Because if we look at the past footage, he actually says that he doesn't really like Samantha being an entertainment lawyer because he thinks that she's a glorified salesman. And she retorts back, you're a salesman also, you sell people like your dad does, which I was like, it's a little bit too much. But she gave good points that you sell people because you think that you put bad guys out. He sold people for himself, but you still sell people. And he was like, that's not a problem and all. But then you probably see, like, maybe that's one of the reasons why you know things started going bad between them. And also Samantha, he was like, what will I do without you, Samantha? So we're kind of also seeing that how he really like regressed as a person also, because you see his life outside the office is really nothing. Like he imagines his brother is in the home, same as him, while he's not there. Like he really doesn't have a personal life aside from this, apart from like the flirting that he does with Amanda, which he did when they came here, when Amanda said that he's a murderer and everything, and he said the same thing, where she was like, you don't say that thing. I really like that this episode had less pizzazz about it. Lester were hiding things because Randall informs him that uh, the guy that apparently shot himself in the head, he actually used to siphon off the money from the studio, which Lester didn't let them know. So it kind of like was a motive for them because he got the bank records. And looking at the lawyer on the other side, she doesn't need to prove anything. That's pretty big motive. But then, at the end of the episode, Lester actually says that, yeah, I did that, but I actually, used that money, that whenever the studio had to reimburse me, I took less money that they owed me, so that in a way I was, still paying back everything. And that his breakdown, which happened, was not a one night thing. He got scared that maybe I'll tell the studio, they'll cut him out of the contract, and that will get him out. So that also cost. But we get a bombshell at the end of the episode, which is that the the lawyer from the prosecuting side says that that the guy who you know apparently killed himself, Lester's wife used to sleep with him, and that's motive. And then you actually see some character development with Amanda, because you see that Amanda and that prosecutor have history, because apparently maybe it was a false conviction or something, that some client called Dante apparently got shivved, and she kind of blames her because maybe that guy was not guilty. Like, it's a trope that we have seen in lawyer shows before, but it's fine. It's a side character. You need motivation. You kind of need to know that why she event is working pro bono, and why she has a clash with all of them. And and she says that if one day Ted calls me, and I'll come running there. So that's how we'll probably see their relationship also progressing. I see kind of like a three-way, like a love triangle that kind of happened in the first Suits show with Harvey and Donna, and I don't know the other girl's name. I think we're gonna see that with Samantha and Amanda and Ted. I think that's gonna happen. The thing with this show is one thing, that it's not really anything new which is happening in this show. Like, these are the same tropes that we have seen in other lawyer shows as well. We have seen this same tropes in the Suit show as well. Maybe that's why they think that it is fine, because people kind of really want to, Suits fans really kind of want to see Suits again. They don't really want to see a new show. They just want to see Suits again. So maybe that will appeal to them. Let's see how it goes in the viewership. But that's what it happens. And in the end, you kind of see that, you kind of see Ted staring at, you know, he'll probably ask for a help also. I'm personally, I'm kind of liking Leah also. Leah has, she's the quirky character of the show. She's a quirky side character. Like, her and Erica's relationship is kind of, in the nascent stages. Like, they'll probably have a good bond by the end of the season. It's just that Erica's character doesn't feel like she's like one of those like Louis Litt type characters that who just hates hugging and all, but her is herself an emotional person. I don't see it with her. So when she kind of like pushes Leah back, like, oh, don't hug me and all, it just doesn't feel that that is her character. Okay, she's a little bit of a stuck up bitch, but not really that, as in Hindi you say khadus. And we also really saw that why, like, he kind of, the things that happened in New York, like, turned him into becoming the thing he hated the most. And why, like, both Randall and Ted have the same thing, that they don't really want to defend guilty people, which you see happening. That the reason why Randall is so circumspect of Lester is because he has an instinct that he may be guilty. The 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 way that Ted is convincing himself that he isn't guilty, because his instinct says that he is not guilty, and there has been only one time where his instincts have gone wrong, which cost him everything. So that is the kind of thing, like, this really, like, this episode, like, kind of like showed us how, like, Ted has kind of like become what he hated the most also, and how he still has a lot of morality left inside him. That's what we see also. One thing was that with the Dylan Pryor thing was, the thing you see is probably Rick is maybe the most like morally aligned character in the show till now, because he's like, when Dylan Pryor was on the call with him, he was full on praising Erica. He also said that I can't take you because that will be poaching, and I'm in another firm right now. So that also happened. It's just that I don't get I don't get why Rick is working with Stewart. Like, okay, maybe you don't like how Ted works, but Stewart betrayed him for just saying stuff. It was not like Ted betrayed him, he just said stuff which is bad. And that is one of the main reasons where Stewart betrayed him essentially in the merger. So then we see, Samantha saying that first you wanted Erica Rollins, but now you're bringing him, where the deal was that Ted will be there for 6 months. I cut him out, Ted out, where against my own judgment because I trust you. And Stuart was like, yeah, but, and she was like, now get him to agree that he'll not be the head of the entertainment division. And Stuart went there, and Stuart was like, you can be the head, but you need to poach. And he was like, I will not poach. But he said that you need to get a big client. And he was like, only way I can bring a big client is if I did poach. But then, you know, he decides to goad Erica Rollins. He plays to her ego, which is essentially, he says he gives her to go head to head with her to sign the waiver. I think this is where, like, these are the kind of things that people who maybe are not like suit like marks, like in wrestling terms, are not like super fans, but just watch suits for like the legal stuff. Like, this is why the people, those casual people, uh, will watch Suits LA. Like, this section which happens. Like, other stuff is just like personal, but this is the stuff which I think people who are not like, like suit super fans will watch the show. Like, this whole sequence where Dylan actually wanted, like, at first you'll probably, look at Dylan as like, okay, she she just to further her career, she wants to, go out of an indie movie of a friend. But then eventually we actually gets to know that she's not like that, because first they go to the writer and they work out a deal where it was essentially, they'll give her this many months and they'll do that. But then what happened is that Leah, you know, so this is the part where, Leah, kind of, stereotypical, that her being a Korean American was so like thorough with her details that she kind of let the director know inadvertently that she actually got a movie role in Warner Brothers, where Erica told her that you only should tell the client the other side information that they need to know, not more than that, because it kind of helped the director that he kind of like shot up her scenes from 5 to 40, which kind of justified them to have her for even 6 months. But then she tried to play, like she she, and Erica had a good thing, because Leah actually said that I read the script and all that, but Erica didn't really pay attention. But that actually mattered, because Erica eventually got the deal done, because she kind of threatened him that you can, because she actually said that Warner Brothers has given money, but it's essentially that we'll litigate you to hell, because she cannot do maybe actual movie scenes, but we can get her to do promotions, and you can get like a day here, maybe on a Thanksgiving. But then what actually happens is that Dylan Pryor comes to Ted in person, and she was like, I really liked you as a lawyer, because our first meeting was like unlike any other lawyers. And actually Rick was like, okay, but you have not read that script. And I actually liked this part, because when Rick came to Erica, he said that you gave her what you thought she needed. I gave her what she wanted. I gave her what she needed, because Dylan is a person who has become famous from those indie movies, and that script actually appealed to her. So he made an agreement where she can do both the indie movie and the Warner Brothers movie as well. So she got the best of both worlds. And that actually, like, the show is kind of telling us like how Erica is like more of the, she gets the deals done, but she doesn't really have that emotional connection, which is kind of needed in the head of entertainment division. And we get to know why, because first it is her personality, and second also she doesn't really know anything about entertainment and movies, that Leah actually figured out, because she doesn't watch any movies or television. The thing about Leah is she kind of works, she and Erica makes a good Jodie because Leah knows about the entertainment division. She wanted to be a writer, but because of her ethnicity and being a first generation Korean American, she kind of has to go into either be a lawyer or a doctor. She can't really have a career as a writer because people don't really look at her people like that. And Erica was like, she wanted to be like a criminal attorney, but she can't really, be that because to get a piece of action, like you have to kind of go into the entertainment division in LA. And she's doing that. So that works for both of them. And that is where, Erica has that line, it is not the only reason that we stopped what we were doing. And Rick was like, you're just lying to yourself. Even Stuart was like that. I worked with the two of you for years, and I thought you're gonna do two words, which both starts for F. And he said instead of fucking, he said Philander, and also that they'll fight head to head, which happened, and it is essentially he got to the head of entertainment division, and he said, and they also brought up a Gen Z joke, which is glazing. First of all, I was like, Samantha, I actually liked how they brought up. It didn't feel that much cringe. I only felt cringe when Samantha said, "What is glazing even?" Like, woman, you don't look like you're 40. You look like you're in 30s. You don't know what glazing is, but it is essentially she may look 30, but she's probably in her 40, 50s. So I'm like, okay, sorry, Samantha, it works. The joke works. And he essentially said that, you were right, Samantha. You did take a risk bringing Ted in. You are the head of the entertainment. You do handle the entertainment division. So you go inform Rick about him getting the head of the entertainment division. And in the end, we also had, him, Ted being like a mentor to Erica. And he was like, I will rather have you fight to go into a fight rather than not getting into a fight. You're getting into a fight and losing rather than not getting into a fight. And this is what we are seeing. This is kind of I think this will be the main relationship that will kind of bind the whole show. You'll get like the romantic angles. You'll get like the other Stuart versus Ted, also kind of like the Harvey versus Lewis. Instead, like Stuart is nothing like Lewis, but it kind of has the same vibes. I think this will be the relationship which will kind of like bind the show together. Like this will be the relationship that I think people will talk that this is the thing which holds and carries the show, which will be Erica's and Ted's relationship. But it's kind of like they're mentor and mentee, but they're both partners as well. So let's see what happens. Like this was a pretty good episode. Like it had a good bombshell that now they actually have more motive, which was his wife sleeping with him, with the guy who killed himself. But I would not say that things happen where you'll be like, yeah, I'll watch the next episode. But there was not like anything shocking thing which happened. Was like I need to watch the next episode, which is I think it's fine because not every episode needs to be that or should be that. It's just that when your first episode was so like dramatic, it had too much happening all at once, and then you just have like a normal episode next, or 6 7 out of 10 episode next, it kind of is like too much of a contrast that you didn't need to have that episode be too much happening, and you didn't need this episode to be like too normal. Like these are like two extremes kind of. But overall, I'll say it was a fine episode. I liked it. I There was really nothing to dislike it, but there was nothing really to be like overtly be, apart from the fact that we are finally getting into the legal stuff of things, be it with the Leicester trial, but that is more of an emotional thing. But with the nitty gritty, which we got with the whole Erica versus Rick thing. So that was my review of the episode. If you like this type of content, like, share, and subscribe. If you don't, then share it with those who do. My Twitter/X link is and Instagram link are in the description. So go follow me on that. Those are my social media. My UPI ID, which is shabboy@okicici, is in the description also. So go follow. So go donate any amount of money which you get, so that it can help me make YouTube a permanent career option. So that was it for me for right now. So thank you. Goodbye. Aluda.